Hello, hello, hello. I am Artist Diyah Najah. I am being presented to you today by the Read and Try Library. It's a library of the DeKalb County Public Library System. This is video number 2 because we are creating a Kwanzaa collage. So welcome back. I hope that you got your supplies. And let's get on to some more technical aspects of creating the collage. So what I did, and you'll be able to see, is I selected my inspiration image. I just can't get over how nice that mask looks with the rest of the setup here, okay? And so I'm going to reproduce that, and I'm going to add my own touch to it, but many artists have to give credit to the photographer. So thank you for that wonderful vignette that you've set up, showing Kwanzaa with the lighting and the colors. Okay, I'm going to change up the colors a little bit. I'm going to change up the composition, which is the way that the art piece is structured, where pieces are placed. I'm going to change that up a little bit, and I'm going to do a very typical background, midground, foreground. I might end up doing a foreground, which is kind of like 4 layers of depth in my art piece. Again, remember I said we start with the end in mind. And so I'm going to pull out the frame that I was talking about. And I'm going to open this frame up. Hopefully you were able to get your frames over the break between the supplies and part 2. I'm going to just open up my frame, take the back off, and I'm being real gentle with this process because I want to pull the mat out. Now, be very careful not to break the glass of your frame, so put it to the side somewhere where you won't step on it. It's clear, so hopefully you have a safe space to put it. Put mine right back there, and I'm going to set things up. Now I want to show you something. I have 2 of me. I have my hands, which will be up here. Let me turn the camera on just so you can see my hands, jazz fingers. All right, and I don't want to disorient anyone, but I'm going to show you what my hands are doing, and you'll be able to see my face as well, okay? I'm also going to switch it so that my face becomes small and my hands become big. So basically you'll be hearing me, all right? I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I could put us here as a side by side or an up in the bottom, but I'm actually going to make this one a little larger for you. So there we have it. I'll bring me back in a minute. When is important, but as long as you can hear me, that's what's necessary. So I'm going to turn on my hands over here, and there we have it. So I want to talk about this. You know that this is the mat. I just took out the frame. I want to talk about this. This is a 22 by 28 piece of vellum. It's pretty thick. It's able to hold a lot of weight. And I'm just going to fold it in half because I am 100% sure that I can fit my area that I need to fit within. So just watch me. This is the size of a typical poster board. And so if you did go and get poster board, that'll work just fine. I'm folding it in half because I'm going to use all of this. So this is a 300 series. It's pretty quality piece of paper here. Again, you can use a poster board. I'm going to move my mat out of the way, move it out of my workspace. And I'm just going to take the edge of something, anything smooth. I'm just going to give a hard crease. Because I want a clean cut. I can't afford any mistakes, and I can't afford to mess up this foundation, because that's what this is, the foundation. I can't afford to mess up the foundation of my collage. Just to help myself to be even better when I cut it, just gonna put a light pencil line to guide my cut. Okay, and I'm going to cut this paper. In your case, it could be a poster board just as well. Throughout this video, I may hit the pause on the recording because I may be doing something and I don't want to waste your time. I value your time. So now I have two pieces. I'm going to move one to the side. And I'm going to bring my mat back up. Okay? I'm overlapping just a little bit on both edges, and that's fine. That's just fine. I'm going to slide it down to the bottom just to line up. There we go. There we go. So I have lined it up at the bottom. This is not lined up, and this is lined up. Okay. There we go. Like you're straightening a stack of papers. And I'm going to lightly take my pencil and just lightly draw the inside line all the way around. All the way around of my mat. And I said lightly. So if that pencil runs away from you, we can easily fix it and erase. I got a little bit of pencil line on my mat. There we go. All right. I'm gonna move my mat to the side now because I want to keep it clean and I don't want to damage it. So here's the line. Can you see it? That's how light I drew it. I'm going all the way around. May not translate well onto video, but it is there. All right. So I said I was doing a horizontal piece. Let me turn the camera just a little bit so that I can get you the best view of what I'm doing. Alright. There's a lot of rigging going on, Alright, so now you have the best view of what I'm doing. Now, remember, right up on this recording, you see the piece that I'm working with. Alright, the image is right there. And I like the composition, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit. just a little bit. So I imagine these different levels. The white is the background, and it's not going to stay white. Behind the Kinara is the sculpture. I don't have it yet, but it's just a piece of paper laying there just to show you what it will become, okay? So here's where the sculpture's gonna lie, and then here is where the Kinara is gonna lie. But if you notice from the picture on the screen, the Kinara is much thinner than this, so I'm gonna cut some of that space off. I need to have enough space for my candles to be there. And I decided I wanted to change it up a little bit. So let me show you how I'm going to change it up a little bit. I decided I want to put a second piece, a second sculpture. I want it to maybe land almost one in front of the other, right here. And let me show you what that looks like. I kind of want to play with the heights a little bit and put another piece there. We'll see how I work that out, but I'm just right now trying to visualize the space. Of course, I have the basket that's going to be here and some fruit here. So we're just playing with space right now. Nothing very serious. I'm just giving you how I play with my layout in the beginning. All right. So we'll fill that space up, and I will use my pencil, and this time I will kind of draw out the shapes and the space I'll take. Just playing with it, just playing with it. So I'm going to draw things just a little darker so that you can see it, and the space that I'm going to take. Alright, and I'm going to draw my Kinara a little bit, and then I'll hold it up for you. I'll switch cameras and hold it up for you. Now remember, we're just playing a little bit, just trying to figure out our composition. So no, we're not drawing too heavily, not too heavily, just lightly. It's all going to be covered up. It's all going to be covered up. So I'm going to use a marker so that you all can see it better. And we're just playing with the space, okay? Just kind of doing a little composition here. how I'm gonna fill my space. Okay, so that's the mask, that's the Kanara. I said I wanted to do a double mask, so I may put something here in front. Because I want to change it up. I don't want to do exactly what the photograph is showing. Now I have all this empty space over here. What am I going to do with that space? Well, yes, I am drawing for you. I'm going to see about placing my cup there and how high that cup will be. So we'll just play with it. Do I want the cup in front of the Kanara or do I want the cup behind? I think I'll put the cup behind the Kanara. Alright. So this is me playing with my space, just playing with it, seeing where everything falls. I think that that's a nice fit within the space provided. And remember, I'm just working on something 12 by 18. So I do like that, and I think that would be a good fit. Of course, I have to draw a little bit facing me, but I will always turn it and show you. So now that I have a little bit of an idea as to what I'm going to do and the space I'm going to use on this paper, I'm going to pull out some other techniques. All right, thank you for your patience. So now that we have an idea of our basic composition and how it fits into the space we have to work with, we're going to do something really odd, okay? We're going to cover it up. Now, you should have selected your image that you're going to attempt to reproduce, or maybe you sketched an image on your own. But I'm going to take a picture of my composition so that I remember what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to take my picture horizontally because my piece is horizontal. All right? Now I took that picture because I'm about to do something really interesting. I'm about to cover it up. Now, here is where you get to be creative. You get to make some decisions as to where you want to go with this, okay? What color feels good to you? I always reach for the blues. I always reach for the blues. Take a little bit of white, a tiny bit of red, and a little bit of black. Okay? And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. One moment. I'm going to do what's called a color gradient, okay? So I'm going to go light to dark. I'm going to do lighter up at the top part and gradually go darker towards the bottom. If you look at the inspiration picture, most of the objects that are at the bottom of my piece are in the lighter, kind of lighter gold, lighter beige color. So that's good contrast, but I'll have to show you better than I can tell you. I want to tell you something very important. Because I used black marker, you do not have to use black marker. I use black marker for the purpose of this video so that you would be able to see what I'm working with better, please use pencil. Pencil is what is going to work best for you. It's going to take me more coats to cover the top part of my art because I did use black marker. But if it's to be helpful to the viewers, that's why I did it, okay? So remember, I'm using really accessible, really low priced art paint. If I were using a higher quality paint, of course, I would not have to do as many coats. But I've used some blue and I've used some white. And I'm just going to start from the top. I'm staying within the lines. If you go outside of the lines, it's not going to be a major deal because remember, that part outside of the lines is covered by the mat. Let me start over here as well to see if it will cover the marker the first time. Not quite, but we'll just do a little second coat. So I hope you're wondering, and if you're wondering, I hope you understood why I covered the composition lines. I just wanted to get an understanding of where I was going. Now, it also helps you to save paint if you want to, but if that idea is too difficult and you don't know where to start and where to stop, just fill the whole background in. What we're doing is filling in the background. Remember, I told you we're doing a background, midground, foreground. And I might do another level of foreground. We'll see. The background that I'm creating is light because you don't want this background to have to fight with what's going in front of it, okay? And so now is a good time to show you how I start to go a little darker. In this case, I'm just going to go darker by using less white. This white is really powerful. This white is really powerful because it creates a pastel. Pastel are really hard to change into anything other than pastel. So when you use white, white always is going to give it this creamy, milky, pastel-y sort of look, okay? Really can't fight with that white color because even when you mix black with white, you get gray. Now, if you use a whole bunch of black, now that changes the story, but we're not here to use our paint in that way. So hopefully you're seeing lighter to darker happening. Just changing my paint strokes just a little bit to add some variety, okay? Some variety in my background. You notice how I'm not being real particular with it. Now I want to go darker, so I'm going to use way more blue and way less white. Going down again, another third level. I feel like now is getting close to the time where I want to start to add that darker blue. I'm playing with it, I'm bringing that up, just here and there, not being real particular about my brush strokes at this point, not at all, just having a little bit of fun. And hopefully you see there's a third layer happening. A third layer of blue. And I'm just calling it blue. As you all know, we're dealing with sky blue, not quite turquoise. Needs a little bit more green in there to be turquoise. So now when I'm getting into the nitty gritty, okay, I really want to start going darker with the blue. So I'm reaching for my darker color. Yes, I'm opening it with my teeth. And again, I am moving further and further away from the white. Not completely, because I don't need this blue to be dark, dark blue. But I'm definitely moving further away from the white. There's my white. I still have some of the white because, of course, this blue still has some of the white in it. And I'm going to go in with that blue. Changes the game a little bit. Playing with my different directions on my brush. All right, see that? Remember that I want to cover up my lines. I want to make sure that my lines aren't showing. And by the lines, I'm talking about the lines that we created down here. I want to make sure that my background is doing a good job of covering them up. I'm just playing. I am bringing some of the blue up. This is a skill that doesn't take a lot of practice, and it's really hard to mess up. It's a background, okay? So don't think too hard on it. I'm going to put some more of this blue, and I want to start to change this blue a little bit. And so I'm going to do something really, really daring. What? Why is she doing that? I'm adding just a drop of red. I might go one more drop in. So if you know about color theory, you'll know what this blue and red are going to create. Now remember, I have some of that white, I have some of that darker blue, some of that red. It's giving me an even darker blue, and I haven't even used the black yet, okay? The black will be the very last. All right. Notice how you don't even see the red, okay? Bringing some of that up to play, bringing some of that up. As I bring my paintbrush up, it brings some of that paint above down, okay? My intention is not to be smooth and perfect. My intention is to be textured, okay? I really want that texture to come on into this piece. Now, depending on your skill level, you may know which areas to avoid with the paint, because you may want to save the paint, you may want to share the paint, and you don't want to waste the paint. But if you don't feel confident in knowing how to do that, just paint the full background like I'm showing you here, okay? Uh-oh, I've ran out of blue, need to make some more. If we remember how to make it, I used the darker blue, about that much, and I used a couple of drops of the red, and I'm going to do 3 drops this time. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to give me some more depth. Changing up that blue. There we go. And we're getting close to the bottom now. I hope you can see the gradient, the variation in color from light, light to dark, dark, different tonality. Make sure we're getting those edges. Those edges matter. If you want to be really sure, go over the edge a little bit, okay? I'm going to play with it and put a little bit of that color below. And now I'm going to do something I was waiting to do, which was use my black. Clipping it open. This one's tricky. All right. I'm going to use the black sparingly. Black is a very powerful color. I would start with just a drop. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that blue in. I'm hoping you have an apron on. I'm hoping you're not wearing your good clothes. Black really changes it. I do want to add a little bit of that red so I can bring it back to life. Just 1 drop of that red. Yeah. We're going to finish it off at the bottom. Just going a little bit out of that line, because if you go too far out, you're going to think you have more space to create art than you actually do, and then you're going to run into trouble because you're going to create a piece that gets covered up by that mat. That's not what you want. I like to intentionally be a little bit messy because I want that texture, okay? I want that texture. I want things going in different directions. Now, look at that. Look at what we've created. Okay? Alright, I'm going to pause you for just 1 second while I clean up this area just a little bit. So I want you to congratulate yourself because you could have just taken one paint and done it one flat color, okay? But you didn't. All right? And that's what I'm talking about when I say we're going to create some frame-worthy art. So I hope that you're proud of your background. It didn't take that long, did it? And I hope that you took this break to clean out your supplies as well and reorganize your space. Oh, now what? Now what? Now we're going to have some fun. We can work on the colors that we're going to use for the candles, because you know the one color that we said we had to have was red, black, and green. So I'm going to put this to the side and let it dry. And I'm going to bring up some of my thicker textured paper. I like that. I think I'll make my candles out of this. Now, my Kinara is going to be this wide. And we're going to start our candles from here. So I took a piece of paper and I folded it into 3, like this. Okay? And I did that because I want to do all my candles just here. Am I going to cut the candles out yet? No, I'm not. But I think I'll start with the red. Now, what you've learned about me so far, do you think I'm going to just use a plain red, or do you think I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with it? I'm gonna have some fun with it, okay? Now, if you look at the picture on the screen right here, you might notice there's a little bit of white highlight, just a little bit. You may notice that. You may notice one side a little darker, one side's a little lighter. So we're going to play with that a little bit, but to start, we're just going to do a little bit of color. Not flat color, just a little bit of color. Color play. So I'm going to open up my orange, because the orange is going to warm up this red a little bit. I don't want to do just a flat red. I want to play around with it, okay? So I'm going to start with some red. And remember, I'm only doing one part of this, right? So I'm just going to play with this paper. I'm going to mix my red in some blobs. Taking it and putting a lot on my brush, and I'm just blobbing it. Just kind of dropping that color on there. I'm not painting it on. I'm literally taking this paint and just blobbing it on there, okay? Blobbing it on there. All right? And let's take a more direct route. Let's take a little drop of orange here. Oh, so orange is packaged a little different. So orange is a really special type of paint. The colors that they use, the way that they make orange has a different viscosity. It's got a different type of flow to it. So maybe that's the reason why. Oranges tend to also be really see-through. You think it's a thick color, and then come to find out it's almost as thin as yellow. Yeah, paints, even though they come from the same space, can be thin. Now, you know what, Artist Diyah Najah, why did you put so much paint on such a small space? Because we're going to let this dry. We're going to let it dry. We're going to play with it. We're going to layer it up. Remember, we want texture, texture, texture. Okay? And then we're going to come in some other areas. In some other areas. We may come back in with more red. Do we find that our red candle is starting to look more orange than we want it? Maybe I used too much orange. It's not anything that can't be fixed. Okay? Not anything that can't be fixed. But let's play with it. Let's let it dry for a little bit. We're going to finish this off, move to another color. Hopefully you can see that texture building. That's what we want. All right? I'm not ashamed to say I used too much orange, but we're going to build on it, and you're going to like it, I guarantee. I like this paintbrush, so I keep using it. I do have more than one paintbrush, but I like this one. There's some texture going on, and that's a good thing. All right. It's a little orange, I admit, and we will come back in and color correct that, don't worry. But for now, I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to get this excess paint on out. And we're going to move on to the green. We don't need so much space for the black, huh? But let's not waste paper, okay? So if we don't need that much space for the black, let's leave all of this area right here unpainted, all right? So let's move on to our greens. As you can now guess, I'm going to play with the green, not just going to put down some basic green. We don't do basic. We're going to play with it. Going to make it lively. See, the green comes on out, not like the orange. Orange is special. So I am using a lot of green. If you want to skip this step, you know that we can go directly onto the paper. Okay? Depends on who you are, how you feel about it. I want to play with my green a little bit, so I think I'll use... Now remember, when we did the orange, we did too much, so I'll do a lot less of the blue, because I actually want to bring the green lighter. And of course, you know what I'm going to do that, right? What color am I going to use to bring this green into a more lime green? I'm going to pause it to save time. If you guessed yellow, you are right. I put some yellow in there. Of course, I did that while the green is still wet. I like the fact that there's some blue highlights showing. I don't feel the need to take that blue away when the predominant color is green. I think that that adds for a little bit of fun, a little bit of whimsy, and I feel the same way about the yellow, okay? I don't feel the need to take it away. Leave some texture in there. I'm keeping it thick. And I'm not keeping it flat. As this is starting to dry, I think now is a good time to come and revisit that color. So I'm going to get this excess green out of my paintbrush. Now, there's a thing called muddy. For instance, if I were to mix this green with that orange and red without cleaning it out of my brush good enough, then the colors start to get muddy. They start to lose their vibrancy. They start to go dull, moving into an unappealing brown zone. Not beautiful melanin brown, but muddy. There's no other way to say it. So I'm gonna go back to this because I don't want to try anything new directly on there. We're in correction mode, not experimentation mode. So I'm opening up the brown, not the beige. The brown. I need this color to be a little bit heavier. I need it to have some depth in it. So I'm going to put a little bit of brown over there, just a little. And I'm also going to take a little bit of purple. I could have used blue if I wanted to, but I'm going to do just a little bit of purple. We've spent some good time together today playing with the colors. We're not done yet. And I'm going to bring back in the red. And by mixing those three colors, I'm looking to get more of a more of a burgundy, a deeper red tone. That red that they're using has some white tone in it, so I'm gonna play a very tricky game of just a dab of black, just a small dab to darken it up. Notice I only did one dab of that. Let's stop there. Let's not mix the other one. It changes things a lot. So, remember, we're using a certain quality of paint. And so, the true red that you may expect just from true red, we're not going to get. But I am quite satisfied with what's happening here. And I'm going to show you something that will excite you, hopefully. Now, candles need what to light them? They need a flame. So if we look at the picture, again, let's look at that picture full screen, and let's go closer in. I see that we have some color play in the candle. We've got some deeper orange, some lighter orange. How about I don't do too much with this top orange here, because we may have some extra space there to create the flame. We don't waste paper, all right? I like the energy that's happening in these candles. I'm going to be particular about my brush strokes. The texture of the paint is changing as it dries, so that red is getting sticky, which means our brush strokes are showing up more, and that is a good thing. Add a little extra weight on my paintbrush. If you get any hairs in your work, just pick them on out or leave them in. But this hair is from the paintbrush. Pick them out or leave them in. Some of the great masters have had hair in their artwork. It just depends on who you are as a person. So I'm happy with what's happened to this red, but I want to excite you. I told you I was going to excite you real quick. Let me get rid of this and minimize it. I told you that I'm getting excited by these colors. The red. Don't have the black yet, but it's the red, the black, and the green, okay? There's a lot of movement in that red, and there's a lot of texture, okay? Continue to play with the textures. I'm being heavy-handed with this quality paint on purpose. But let me excite you really quick. Lee? Here's your background. Look at these colors bouncing off of each other. Look at where you're going with it, okay? Having some fun, getting excited, noticing the texture and why it makes a difference to play with texture in this way. Now, if I were you, I would not do this, because what if you put this wet paint on this background? So let me take it away. So we're going to move into black. Remember, I did have some black here. Black is powerful, so I might as well just take this black, put it on right here. Sometimes people don't do straight black. Sometimes people mix black with another color, all right? That's enough. I'm moving this black into the red a little bit, just so I can play with it. Just play with it, all right? Ooh, it's so deep and luscious. Now remember, there's only one black candle, so there's no need for me to take up all of this space. What if I mess up when I cut it? Okay, we'll give you a little bit more room. All right? No need to have to go back into opening the paint up. Give yourself some breathing room. All right? I widened it. Ooh. So when you mix black with other colors, you are, in a sense, suggesting black, and that is very interesting indeed. Nothing wrong with straight black, but there are so many types of black. It's rare that you will find straight black, okay? So I have warmed my black up with the remaining red. There's no use in wasting that. And so this process continues on, but here you have it. The red, the black, and the green. And we're going to put this to the side. So remember, I like that we're showing specks of other colors there. Okay, I like that we're not doing just flat colors or flat painting. We're being heavy-handed with our paintbrush, and we put it to the side to dry. Now, let's take a look at this picture, because we have some other colors to play with. From this video to the next video, I want you to think of whatever. Now remember, you may not be using the same image as me, but in the time that we are apart and before you get to the next video, I'm going to paint some orange. I'm going to paint some purples for grapes and plums. Let me move this out the way. Okay, let me make this picture larger so that we can see what we're working with. Take this hand and move it on up. We've got this corn, and the corn is different colors. And look at that. We can get real fun with this. Let me see. I think I will use the remaining time today to play with making some corn husk, okay? We have figs. You can choose whatever vegetables and fruits speak to you, all right? I'm almost able to see. Photo by Timothy R. Nichols. Thank you for the inspiration photo, sir. And we're playing with the fruits and vegetables. I'm going to choose my own fruits and vegetables. I'm not going to use necessarily what Timothy wants, okay? So let's see where we are with time. 57. I think I have it in me, okay? This is going to be wild and this is going to be fun. But I'm going to pause you because I did put black in here, and really there's nowhere I can go from there. Black is powerful. It will take over anything I try, especially the golds. So let me wash this off. I'll be right back. I'm back with some clean brushes and clean makeshift palette. And the reason why I just came on just to show you this is because I want to expand this picture again. And let's really take a look. If we don't have the real thing in front of us, let's take a really in-depth look at these corn husks that are pulled back. And let's study it. I see a little bit of reddish color. I see some browner colors. I see some light yellow, almost white. I see some orangey yellow. Okay, a lot of gold. There's a lot of variation going on. Yes. So you're going to say, what? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. But don't worry. We're going to do our version of it, all right? So I will be right back in a minute. There we go. Fitting it back to screen. Gonna get some more paper. If you haven't noticed, I like using the heavier paper. So I like using some of that heavy set paper. But you may like using the lighter paper. And I'm going to show you something real quick. What is this lady doing? I'm just going to do this. just going to take this paper, I'm going to fold it in different directions. What is she doing? Just playing with it. Balling it up a little bit. Okay. And this is not enough. So I'm going to get another sheet and repeat the same process again. Are you on to me? Well, that corn to me looks like it's doing this. It's kind of like strips. It's crinkled. It's not straight. So if it's not straight, I don't want to work with straight or flat paper, okay? Because what we're doing is building texture. And so if it's not straight, I'm not going to paint on straight paper. I want to create as realistic corn husk as I possibly can. All right? So I'm going to work with a lot of water, and I'm going to start light to dark. So I'm going to wet the paintbrush, and I'm going to use this beige color. Open that up with my teeth, because that's what teeth were made for. No, it's not. Be careful. Alright, so it really doesn't matter at this point about measurement. Just make sure you have enough to share. Now remember, I had a really wet paintbrush. Alright? And I'm going to do a really quick go over. What is she doing? So I'm using a lot of water. It's almost like a wash, okay? I'm just washing it over my paper. And I use 2 sheets. I'm going to pour off some of the excess water. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to do the same process to the other sheet. When you manipulate your paper like this, and then you use water and you paint over it, it almost turns fabric-like. The more you manipulate it, the more softer it becomes. I think I'll just pour some of that on there, get some of that in there. Okay? Is this a science? Is there a science to what I'm doing? No. Nope. There's not. Try to cover up all the white spots, or don't. Because remember, we like when things aren't just flat one color, okay? We like when little surprises peek through. It's fun, it's interesting, it's unexpected. Now, as this starts to dry, you'll see that some areas dry darker than others, kind of like old, worn out leather. I'm going to pour off some of my excess water. Move that to the side. I'm going to bring this back. I think I'll ball it up again. Why not? Why not? Why not? Okay, that's like corn husk. I'll open it back up. Things are happening. Things are happening. Now I'm going to go the next color up. The next color up. I think I'll do a tad bit of orange with the existing. Not too much, because remember we saw how powerful orange was. Just a couple of little dots. We'll see if we like that. Alright, let's give it a little bit more. We can also, on the next color change, let's get some of that water in there. Make sure that the color is enough variation. Is it enough variation? I think I want to put a little bit more orange in there. We don't want to just waste our time using the same exact color. There we go. It's also a little bit thicker, but remember we have to do 2 pages worth. Okay? I'm just going over it lightly this time, not as watery this time. We are building up colors, so we should be able to see that lighter color peeking through. We're going lightly over it with our brush. It's kind of like, okay? All right, we're done. Stop. Move it to the side. Now remember, I balled this up, so let's ball it up again. We want to get some new wrinkles in there, just like that corn husk. We're going to open it back up. Ooh, she being so rough. She being so rough. Artist Diyah Najah, you are being so rough. All right. Bringing this back over. Remember, it's not as watery. And we're going over those humps. We're not pressing hard into it. We're just flicking our paintbrush over there because we want some of that color to peek through. All right, stop. All right. We see some of the previous color peeking through. I see some of the previous colors peeking through. Now, let me do this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to dab off some of that extra paint. I'm going to dab off here and there. Dab, dab, that's a dance. I'm not a dancer. But I like watching them on Instagram. Dab, dab. All right? Not only am I taking off excess paint, but I'm helping it to dry. Now let's go in with, remember we noticed a little bit of red. So red is pretty powerful. We did 1 drop. Let's see what 1 drop does. We saw a reddish orange, and we know that this paint is good at making reddish orange. 3 dabs of red, 4 dabs of orange. I am not cleaning off my paintbrush. I don't have to. Do I like that? Yeah, it looks, and this time, am I gonna go over this whole area? No, I'm not. Just here, just here, just here. And again, I'm flicking. Okay, just flicking. All right, that's enough. Stop. You don't want to overdo it. Just a little bit of flick. So corn husk goes this way, so I am allowing my paintbrush to do a little bit of that. Flick, a little going down. Flick, a little bit going down. A little bit of that direction, a little bit going down. And we're just building up interest, color, texture. Interest, color, texture. And that's why we did not keep our candles flat. And that's why we did not keep our background flat, because we need permission to continue this. If you only had all of these layers and textures with one area and not with other areas, that wouldn't make sense, okay? So let's bring in the brown. A little bit of those areas had a deeper brown tone. This brown is very powerful, but I am going to not use yellow, because there we go muddy. I'm going to use orange, okay? Just a little bit of that, just a little bit of that. If we look at the corn, there wasn't a lot of dark areas like this. There wasn't a lot, just a few, just a few. I hope that you don't think that this requires skill. You are seeing real time. Am I making a mess? Mm-hmm. Sure am, sure am, sure am. Do I have paint fibers in my paper? Sure do. And I'm leaving them. I'm working with corn husk. I'm working with corn husk. Having fun. All right? Stop it. Remember, I didn't do too much, because there's not too much in that picture. Light to dark works much better than dark to light. It is easier to correct light to dark than dark to light. That's why we started off light, okay? And I am going to do my final layer of color. I'm going to use the deeper brown. Yes, I am going to use how many dots of black? One little. One. Oh, there we go. And a couple of dots of red. And remember, this red is not our best friend. They like an associate. Okay? And that's what we wanted. We wanted that color. We went there. We went there. Let's pull up some of this other. All right? Let's get some of that. But let's go back to this. Let's remember that. Okay? Because we're coming back to that light color. But we're in here in this dark family. And we're doing just a few. Just a few. Just a few. Just a few dark areas. Is it dark enough? We have markers for that if we want. All right, just a little bit. We've not overwhelmed this paper. We have variation, but Artist Diyah Najah, what about the Nightlight? Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. All right, and let me get some of that out there, and let's bring this white in. Let's bring this white in. Yep, right on top of those other colors, and let's do a generous amount. Let's bring in some of that yellow. Generous amount, generous amount. We don't want to make it too full of water because we need this color to really stick. Yep. Does it not have this color? Does it not have these yellows and these golden white colors? Giving myself 4 different varieties, and I'm going right over the top. Right over the top. And this time I am being very particular about my direction, because corn husk is like hair fibers. Okay, and I want the direction to resemble hair fibers. Let's go a little wider, even a little wider, right? Bring that in. And this will be the final painting example. The rest you will do on your own until the next video, where we start to add our finishing touches and work on our composition. I don't know if those will fit in the same video, because we took a lot of good time on this, and I hope that you had fun. You may not see where this is going yet, but we are doing just fine. Corn husk? Amen. I feel like I almost used up too much paint, but remember, we're being particular about our directions. Let's not be stingy with ourselves. We do have enough to make more. We use that white. We use that yellow. And isn't it a good thing that we did the bottom of our art darker? Because it's going to contrast really nicely with what we're doing here. Yep. I'm going to show you this one last time. All right. I'm going to lay this down to dry. Bringing in just a little bit of that golden yellow. All right. I'm going to lay this to the side to dry. Now, I'm not bold enough to lift up all of the colors to bring them together because I don't trust myself and I don't want to mess anything up, so I'm going to use patience and let it dry. Here I am. Did you forget me? All right. So we got a lot of work done today. We spent well over an hour together and we did a lot. We will come back on the next video where we will bring our finished pieces, our finished painted pieces, just the painted paper, okay? And then we're going to learn how to cut out the shapes we want. We may learn a little bit of highlight, a little bit of shadow, and we're going to put in a little bit of the detail. So next time you see me, I will have more pieces of paper painted, and I will have some detail in there, and I will show you how to add some detail, okay? Detail takes a lot of patience because we may use some markers, we may do some things by hand. All right, markers that I would suggest using, Sharpies. If you have a brown Sharpie, get your brown Sharpie on. You definitely don't want to hand paint or play with these things by hand painting. For the corn, if you're wondering how to work on the corn, working on the corn, a good way to work on the corn would be to use these toothpicks, okay? And you can just do a sideways toothpick. Let me show you by showing my hands really quickly. just taking the paint onto the toothpick. And doing a sideways dab. That will get you a corn kernel. That'll get you a corn kernel. That'll get you a corn kernel. Do you have that patience in you? That'll get you a corn kernel. Do you? Do I? That'll get you a corn kernel. That'll get you a corn kernel. Ask yourself, do you have it in you? We are making corn kernels, but whoo, whoo, whoo. We really have to pull on our self-determination at this point, all right? But the toothpick is a great way to bring in the corn. And are we going to do it on top of white paper? I would say paint the background one flat color. Now, yes, you can do a flat color because you're playing with all these different colors on top. But can we agree that this what do we call these? That these Q-tips is a great way to bring in some corn kernels? Do we agree? If you have it in you. I do. So when I return back, I'm gonna have me some Q-tip corn kernels. See you next year then. No, I'm gonna spend some extra time. But thank you for joining me again. Thanking the Redan Trotty Library for hosting Collage Making with Artist Diyah Najah. And I will see you soon.